Welcome. Let everything release now. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw relax. Let the day fall away like sand through fingers. Tonight, I'm going to tell you the final stories. Tales about choices, about the difference between cleverness and wisdom, between survival and integrity, between doing what's easy and doing what's right. These are tales from the Panchatantra. Stories of jackals and donkeys, camels and cranes, creatures who live on edges, in hard places, who must decide every day who they want to be. But tonight, these stories are simply here to carry you towards sleep. There are 4 tales woven together. You don't need to follow every detail. You don't need to remember the morals. Just let the stories flow over you like evening wind across desert sand. The first story begins now. At the edge of a village near the desert, where a donkey worked all day and dreamed of being something else. There was a donkey. He belonged to a washerman who lived at the edge of a village. Every day, the donkey carried heavy loads of wet clothes from the river to the village. His back was sore, his legs were tired, his life was endless work. The washerman barely fed him, just enough to keep him alive, just enough to keep him working. At night, when the work was done, the donkey would be tied to a post outside the washerman's hut, hungry, exhausted, alone. But the donkey had a friend, a jackal. The jackal lived in the scrubland beyond the village. He was clever, cunning, the kind of creature who survived by his wits, who found food where others found nothing, who knew every trick and shortcut. The jackal would visit the donkey at night. They would talk, share their troubles, keep each other company in the darkness. One night, the jackal said, "Why do you stay here? Why do you let him treat you this way?" The donkey sighed. "Where would I go? What would I do? I'm just a donkey. This is my life." The jackal's eyes gleamed. "Come with me tonight. There's a cucumber field not far from here. The farmer is careless. The fence has a gap. We can eat until we're full." The donkey's ears perked up. "Really? Really? Come on." They went together. Through the scrubland, past the village, to the cucumber field. The jackal was right. There was a gap in the fence. They slipped through. The field was full. Row after row of cucumbers, more food than either of them had seen in months. They ate, and ate, and ate. The donkey had never been so full, so satisfied, so happy. When they finished, the jackal said, "We should go, before the farmer wakes." But the donkey felt something stirring in his chest, a feeling he couldn't name. Joy, gratitude, fullness. "Wait," the donkey said. "I want to do something." "What?" "I want to sing." The jackal stared at him. "Sing? Are you mad? The farmer will hear you. He'll come with his dogs. We'll be caught." "I don't care," the donkey said. "I feel so good, so full. I haven't felt this way in years. I want to express it. I want to sing." The jackal tried to reason with him. "Your voice is terrible. Donkeys can't sing. You'll just bray, loudly, and we'll both pay the price." "You don't understand," the donkey said. "I'm an artist. I have music inside me. I've always had it. I just never had the chance to express it before." The jackal saw that words wouldn't work. "Fine. Sing if you must. But I'm leaving." And the jackal slipped back through the fence and disappeared into the night. The donkey stood alone in the cucumber field. He felt the fullness, the joy, the overwhelming need to express what he was feeling. He opened his mouth, and he brayed, loud, harsh, the unmistakable sound of a donkey. It cut through the night like a blade. The farmer woke. The dogs barked. Lights appeared in the farmhouse. The farmer ran out with his staff. The dogs ran ahead, snarling. The donkey tried to run. but he was too full, too slow. The gap in the fence suddenly seemed very far away. The farmer caught him, beat him, drove him out of the field with blows and shouts. The donkey limped back to the village, bruised and humiliated. The jackal was waiting by the washerman's hut. "I tried to warn you," he said quietly. The donkey said nothing. There was nothing to say. He had confused feeling with expression, had mistaken the impulse to celebrate with the wisdom of knowing when to stay quiet. He had survived, but barely, and he had learned in the hardest way that not every feeling needs to be expressed, that sometimes the greatest joy is held in silence, that cleverness means knowing when to speak and when to disappear into the night. The night deepened. The desert wind picked up slightly, carrying the scent of distant places. The stars grew brighter, and at an oasis near the desert's edge, the second story was beginning. There was a lion. He was king of the desert lands, powerful, feared. His court was a gathering place where all the animals came to pay respect, to seek justice, to bring their disputes. The lion ruled with the help of his ministers. A leopard, a crow, a jackal, creatures who advised him, who helped him make decisions, who kept order in his kingdom. One day, a camel appeared at the court. He was not from the desert. He was from a caravan that had been traveling through. He had gotten separated from his group, lost, alone, wandering. He came to the lion's court seeking help. "Please," the camel said, "I'm lost. I need food and water. I need a place to stay until I can find my caravan again." The lion looked at this strange creature, tall, ungainly, not suited for the desert at all. But the lion was in a generous mood. "You may stay," he said. "You may eat what you need. You may rest here until you're ready to leave." The camel was grateful. He bowed. He thanked the lion profusely. Days passed. Then weeks. The camel stayed at the oasis. He ate, he drank, he rested, and he drank, and he drank, but he made no effort to leave, no effort to find his caravan. He was comfortable, safe, well-fed. The other animals began to resent him. He contributed nothing, he just consumed. He was a burden. One day, the lion was injured during a hunt. A buffalo had gored him. The wound was deep. He couldn't hunt. He couldn't move. The court gathered. The lion's ministers discussed what to do. "The king needs food," the leopard said. "But none of us can hunt for him. We're all needed here to run the court." They looked at each other. Then they looked at the camel. The jackal spoke quietly. "There is one here who contributes nothing, who only takes, who would not be missed." The others understood. They went to the camel. "The king is injured," the crow said. "He needs food. We have decided. You should offer yourself." The camel's eyes widened. "Offer myself? You mean you want to kill me?" "For the king," the leopard said. "It would be an honor, a sacrifice." The camel looked around, at the faces watching him, at the desert surrounding the oasis, at the absence of any escape. He had a choice: refuse and be killed anyway, or agree and die with some semblance of dignity. He thought about it, about how he'd come here asking for help, how he'd been given shelter and food, how he'd taken and taken without giving back. And he realized something. Hospitality has limits, generosity has boundaries. And when you only take and never give, eventually the taking catches up with you. He bowed his head. "If it helps the king, then I offer myself." The other animals moved forward, but before they could act, the lion spoke from his resting place. "Stop." Everyone turned. The lion looked at the camel. "You were willing to give yourself. That's enough. I won't take what's freely offered out of guilt or fear." He turned to his ministers. "Find food elsewhere. The camel stays." The ministers bowed and left. The camel remained. But he was changed. He understood now that sanctuary is not permanent, that staying where you're not needed is dangerous, that gratitude must be expressed through action, not just words. He left the next day, found his way back to the trade routes, rejoined a caravan, and he never forgot the lesson that when you accept help, you accept responsibility, that taking without giving is a debt that eventually comes due, that the only way to truly survive is to be useful, to contribute, to earn your place. The moon rose higher. The desert cooled. The night creatures emerged from their hiding places to hunt and forage and live their brief lives under the stars. And near a small pond at the desert's edge, the third story was reaching its conclusion. There was a crane, old, white, with long legs and a sharp beak. He had lived by this pond for many years, eating the fish that swam in its waters. But now he was old. His eyes were dim. His movements were slow. Catching fish had become difficult. He was starving. One day, he stood at the edge of the pond, looking at the fish swimming just out of reach, and he made a decision. If he couldn't catch them with speed, he would catch them with cleverness. He began to weep, large tears running down his beak, loud sobs that echoed across the water. The fish noticed. So did the frog who lived in the reeds. The frog hopped closer. "Why are you crying?" The crane looked at him with sad eyes. "I've heard terrible news." "Terrible? What news?" "There's a drought coming. A terrible drought. This pond will dry up completely. All the fish will die. All of you will die." The frog's eyes widened. "How do you know this?" "I overheard men talking. Farmers. They know these things. The rains have failed. The water will disappear." The frog was frightened. He told the fish. The fish panicked. They swam to the crane. "Is it true? Will the pond dry up?" The crane nodded sadly. "I'm afraid so. I wish I could help. But what can one old crane do?" "Isn't there anywhere we can go?" the fish asked desperately. The crane paused, as if considering. "Well, there is another pond, not far from here. Larger, deeper, fed by a spring. It will never dry up. Can you take us there?" The crane looked reluctant. "I suppose I could. I could carry you, one at a time, in my beak, fly you to safety." The fish were overjoyed. They lined up, eager to be saved. The crane picked up the first fish in his beak. He flew away, but he didn't fly to another pond. There was no other pond. Instead, he flew to a rock outcrop a short distance away. He landed, and he ate the fish. Then he returned for another, and another. Day after day, he carried fish away. Day after day, he ate them. The fish in the pond grew fewer, but those that remained still believed they were being saved. One day, a crab approached the crane. "Will you take me too?" The crane looked at the crab. Hard shell, claws, not his usual meal, but he was still hungry. "Yes, climb on my back, hold tight." The crab climbed onto the crane's back, his claws gripping the feathers. The crane took flight. He flew toward the rock outcrop, toward the pile of fish bones that marked his feeding place. But the crab was clever. He looked down. He saw the bones. He understood. Without hesitation, the crab used his claws. He grabbed the crane's neck and squeezed. The crane squawked. He tried to shake the crab off, but the grip was too strong. They tumbled from the sky, both falling, both struggling. They hit the ground hard. The crane died instantly, his neck broken by the crab's claws. The crab was injured but alive. He crawled back to the pond. The remaining fish saw him return. "Where's the other pond?" they asked. The crab told them everything. The lies, the bones, the truth. The fish were horrified, grateful. They had been saved not by the crane's kindness, but by their own good fortune in sending the crab. They had learned that cleverness without integrity is just cruelty, that those who prey on fear are the most dangerous predators, that trusting words without watching actions is how creatures die. The crane's cleverness had worked. Until it didn't, until he chose the wrong victim, until his greed made him careless. And in the end, cleverness alone is never enough. It needs to be paired with wisdom, with restraint, with knowing when you've taken enough. The night was deep now, the deepest part, when even the moon seems to rest and the stars burn brightest, the time when the world is suspended between darkness and the promise of dawn. And in that suspended moment, the fourth and final story began. There was a jackal, the same jackal who had warned the donkey, who had survived by his wits his entire life, who knew every trick, every shortcut, every way to get what he needed. One night, he was hunting, searching for food. His stomach was empty. He hadn't eaten in days. He came upon a village at the edge of the desert. He smelled meat, cooking. The scent drew him closer. He crept through the streets, past sleeping houses, past quiet courtyards, and he found it. A house where a wedding celebration had taken place. The guests had left. The family had gone to sleep. But outside, forgotten, was a pot of meat. The jackal approached carefully. He looked around. No one was watching. He grabbed a piece of meat. It was delicious, rich, the best thing he'd tasted in months. He grabbed another piece, and another. He was so focused on eating that he didn't hear the footsteps. A man appeared, the owner of the house. He saw the jackal stealing his food. He shouted. He grabbed a stick. The jackal ran through the village, past the houses, out into the scrubland. But he didn't run far enough. He didn't check behind him. He was too focused on escape. He ran straight into a trap, a hunter's trap, metal jaws that snapped shut around his leg. He cried out. He struggled, but he couldn't escape. The pain was terrible. His leg was crushed. He pulled, he twisted, he bit at the metal. Nothing worked. Dawn was coming. Soon the hunter would arrive, and the jackal would die. He had a choice. He could wait, hope for a miracle, hope someone would free him, or he could do what needed to be done. He looked at his trapped leg, at the metal cutting into flesh and bone, and he made his choice. He bit down on his own leg, above the trap, where flesh met flesh. He bit through muscle, through tendon, through everything that held his leg to his body. The pain was beyond description, but he didn't stop. Finally, the leg separated. He was free. He limped away on 3 legs, bleeding, in agony, but alive. He found shelter in a cave. He lay there for days. The wound slowly stopped bleeding, slowly began to heal. He survived, but he was changed, not just physically. He would never run as fast, never hunt as well, never be the same jackal he had been. But inside, something had shifted. He had made a choice, had sacrificed part of himself to save the whole, had chosen survival over pride, had accepted loss to preserve life. And he understood now what he had never understood before. That cleverness is important, that cunning helps you survive, that tricks and shortcuts have their place. But there are moments when all the cleverness in the world isn't enough, when the only choice is between what you want to keep and what you need to let go. When integrity means being willing to cut away part of yourself to preserve your life, your truth, your soul. The jackal lived many more years. He limped, he struggled, but he lived. And whenever other animals asked about his missing leg, he told them the truth. "I was clever," he said, "but cleverness trapped me. I survived by being willing to lose something I thought I needed, by choosing life over wholeness, by understanding that sometimes the greatest wisdom is knowing what to sacrifice." And so all four stories end. The donkey who sang at the wrong moment, the camel who took without giving, the crane whose cleverness became cruelty, the jackal who sacrificed his leg to save his life. Four tales, four lessons about cleverness and wisdom, about taking and giving, about the choices we make when survival and integrity meet. Let these stories rest in you now. Let your body completely release. Let your breath become so soft you barely feel it. Let every thought dissolve like stars fading into dawn. You don't need to be clever. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know what choice you'll make tomorrow. You just need to rest. The desert is quiet. The oasis is still. The stars are beginning to fade. Dawn is coming, but it's not here yet. And in this space between night and day, you are held, you are safe, you are whole. Sleep now. Let the donkey rest in his stable. Let the camel find his caravan. Let the crane's deception end. Let the jackal heal in his cave. And let you, finally, let everything go. The stories are finished. The night is ending, and you have traveled far enough. Rest.